Okay, so AI. It feels like every day there's something new, something huge happening. Stuff that honestly felt like pure science fiction just a little while ago.
It's moving incredibly fast.
Right. But beyond just the cool tech, the real question is, how does it actually change things? How does it reshape our world?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what we try to do here at the Deep Dive. We take a topic, find the essential info, and hopefully give you the insights you need.
Exactly. We're not just reading headlines back. The idea is to get a sort of richer feel for what's really going on.
Yeah,
And today, we're diving into something that feels, well, pretty pivotal. It's about how one nation is planning its entire future around AI.
totally. A listener actually sent us this AI news article. It was from May 7th, 2025. Title was UAE to teach its children AI.
Catchy title.
It is, and that's our focus. The United Arab Emirates, the UAE, and their huge plan to basically build AI education right into their national school curriculum.
And we're talking everything, kindergarten all the way through high school.
Yeah, K-12. So our mission for this deep dive really is to understand, okay, what is this plan? Why are they doing it? And, what could this mean globally?
Consider it your shortcut to getting up to speed on this. It's a big move.
Definitely.
Huh.
Okay, so UAE to teach its children AI.
Mm-hmm.
It catches the eye, like you said. But what does that actually mean in the classroom? This isn't just like an optional coding club after school.
Oh, not at all. No, the article makes it clear this is full integration right into the standard curriculum for every single student.
Dude.
Every student, K-12. The idea isn't to bolt it on separately. It's meant to be woven into how they already teach things.
Wow. Okay, that's huge.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff are they actually going to be learning then?
Well, the article breaks it down into a few key areas. Basics of data, how algorithms work,
Yeah.
the fundamentals.
Right.
Then practical stuff like software applications using AI,
Yeah.
but also the bigger picture, AI ethics, real-world uses, policy.
Policy too. Interesting.
Yeah, and even how AI is sort of changing society, social engagement, they call it.
Huh. That sounds incredibly thorough, covering the tech and the impact. I wonder how they make that work for, say, a 5-year-old.
That's the key point, right? The article stresses it'll all be age appropriate. So, what a kindergartner learns about AI will look very different from a high schooler's project.
Okay.
But the goal is this continuous buildup of understanding, a foundation.
Right. So it's clearly more than just chasing the latest tech buzzword. What's the deeper reason? Why is the UAE committing so hard to this?
Well, it connects directly to their bigger national plan. It's called the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy 2031.
Ah, okay, 2031.
Exactly. And the core ambition of that strategy, to make the UAE a global leader in AI across the board.
So education is a key piece of becoming that leader.
It has to be, right? You need people who don't just use AI, but actually understand it deeply, build that literacy from the ground up.
Develop their own talent, basically.
Yeah.
Not just import it or buy the tech.
Precisely. And there's another big angle, economic diversification.
Ah, moving beyond oil.
That's the long-term play. Like a lot of places rich in natural resources, they know they need to build other economic engines. And they see AI and the tech around it as absolutely vital for their future economy.
So AI literacy becomes almost like reading or writing, a fundamental skill for the future workforce they envision.
You could definitely argue that's how they see it, yes.
Makes a lot of sense when you frame it like that. Investing in the people who will build that future economy. And the article mentioned this isn't just happening in schools.
No, it's broader than that. The K-12 piece is huge, obviously, but it's part of a bigger ecosystem they're trying to build.
Okay.
The National AI Strategy also pumps significant funding into AI research at their universities. Places like the American University of Sharjah, UAE University.
So fostering the high-level innovation, too.
Right. Discovery, new ideas, pushing the boundaries, it's at all levels.
And it's not just for students and researchers. What about the general public?
Good point. The article mentions public awareness campaigns, too, learning programs across the country. The idea seems to be getting everyone kind of on board, making sure people feel informed about AI, what it means, the opportunities, the challenges.
Imagine that a whole population with a baseline understanding of AI could lead to some interesting conversations, better policy maybe.
Potentially, yes. More informed public discourse.
Now, all this sounds expensive. The article mentioned some pretty big numbers, didn't it? Investment figures.
It did. It mentions sources familiar with the project expecting the UAE's specific AI investment fund to hit, get this, $100 billion in the next few years.
Wow. $100 billion.
Yeah.
That's serious commitment.
Mm.
How does that compare, say, globally?
Well, the article gives a comparison point, noting the U.S. plans about $1.4 trillion over the next decade.
Okay, much bigger number.
Much bigger, but it's also a much broader scope for the U.S. energy, chips, and AI infrastructure. The UAE's $100 billion seems very specifically targeted at AI development and adoption.
So maybe more focused firepower in that specific area?
You could argue that, yeah, a concentrated push.
And they're also looking outward. Foreign investments mentioned.
Yes, the article suggests that's a strategic play. Investing internationally to build relationships across the global AI supply chain.
Makes sense. Secure access to tech, talent, resources.
Exactly. It's about making sure they have a solid place in that whole global network as AI keeps evolving so quickly.
Okay, shifting gears a bit to the sort of global politics angle. The article brought up the U.S., China. Some interesting dynamics there. What stood out to you?
What's really interesting is how the UAE seems to be navigating this tech competition. They're positioning themselves almost as neutral ground.
How so?
Well, the article talk about the U.S. maybe easing up on export restrictions for things like NVIDIA hardware going to the UAE.
Okay.
And it notes President Trump was planning a visit to the region, which often signals shifts in policy or relationships.
And at the same time, they're working with China, too.
That's the other side of it. The article explicitly says the UAE has welcomed investment from Chinese tech giants like Huawei.
Playing both sides? Or maybe just being pragmatic?
Probably pragmatic. It positions them as this sort of impartial hub. And look, the region has money. Cutting off trade hurts vendors on both sides, west and east.
Right.
So the UAE's open approach could be a real strategic advantage. They get access to the best tech wherever it comes from.
It's like they want to be a key junction box in the global AI network.
That's a good way to put it, yeah, a central node. And this kind of loops back to the influence they could have building this AI-savvy generation.
And didn't the article mention Sam Altman from OpenAI?
It did. Quoted him describing the UAE as a global sandbox for AI governance and regulation.
A sandbox. What does that imply?
It suggests they're willing to experiment, to try things out, to figure out how AI should be managed and regulated in practice. They're not afraid to be, forward-thinking.
And by teaching ethics right from the start.
Exactly. By embedding that into the education, they could be cultivating a whole generation that approaches AI development with a really strong ethical compass.
Which could make them leaders in that conversation globally, not just the tech side.
That's the potential, yeah. They could end up shaping global best practices.
So the kids learning about AI ethics in Abu Dhabi today might be teaching the rest of the world about it in 10 or 20 years.
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? The article certainly hints at that possibility, that the UAE's youth could really guide the global conversation.
Okay, let's try and wrap this up. If we boil it down, what are the main takeaways from this deep dive into the UAE's AI education strategy?
I think first, it's the sheer scale and comprehensiveness of the commitment. This isn't tinkering around the edges.
No, it's fundamental.
It's fundamental, driven by a very clear national vision.
Yeah?
Become an AI leader, diversify the economy, and it covers everything. K-12, tech skills, ethics, policy.
And it's not happening in a vacuum. It's linked to big investments in research, public engagement,
Right.
and this clever navigation of global tech politics.
Exactly. It's holistic. And the potential long-term impact, especially around global AI governance and ethics, that feels really significant. This is bigger than just one country's school system.
It really could have ripple effects.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the final thought for you, our listener. Thinking about this UAE example, what are the broader implications when a whole country decides AI literacy is fundamental education?
Yeah, and what could other countries, maybe your own, learn from this really bold, forward-looking move by the UAE?
Something to think about. Consider the impact on innovation, on global competition, and importantly, on how we develop AI ethically as you keep watching this space.
The UAE's plan definitely gives us a fascinating glimpse into one possible future where understanding AI isn't just for specialists, but for everyone.